good morning. Good morning. Yay, I'm so glad you said good morning in a very loud and boisterous tone, which it is a joyous day, and I look forward to these days every single year when we get to celebrate amazing trailblazers in the state of Georgia. And we have a great program for you today. Good morning. My name is Penny Elkins. I have the great pleasure as serving as the president of Georgia Women of Achievement. And really, I just get to work with these amazing leaders on this board who put this program together. They are incredible leaders, and I'm going to introduce them to you momentarily. My day job, which I always Megan, you and I need to always be careful about this, because last year everybody quoted me as being president of Wesleyan. I was like, no. We have an amazing president of Wesleyan. I happen to be the executive vice president of Mercer University, but the president of GWA. So make sure you get all that straight, right? Anyway, we are all in the family here, and we are all to celebrate these amazing women. So do what you can to care about others and continue to do good in this world. Those words by our amazing founder, visionary, one of the incredible leaders who began this organization decades ago, the former, now deceased, Mrs. Rosalind Carter. You all remember we celebrated her life in the recent past. Those words echo through this chapel. They really become to us a calling. I was just speaking, I see you shaking your head. I was just speaking with one of the members of the audience, and we were saying, you know, we need to control the controllables. What are those things that we do every single day to celebrate the people around us? Sometimes we can't manage the external forces, but we can certainly, most times, control what we do. So that is what Rosalind Carter challenged us to do. It's a high calling, a calling for all of us to continue to do good in this world. This is the 34th annual Hall of Fame induction ceremony of the Georgia Women of Achievement. This ceremony, as many of you know, is held intentionally during this month, which is Women's History Month, to really celebrate those inspiring women who have been trailblazers in the state of Georgia, those women who have been the pioneers on whose shoulders we stand, and we will talk a lot about those strong shoulders later in the program. Georgia Women of Achievement has three primary goals. There's a lot that we do, but y'all, the organization was founded such that we could honor and really tell the stories, and you're going to hear a lot of those today, of these amazing women of our past. We have to acknowledge, you know, not one of us is here by our own merits. We are all standing here because of those in our lives who have helped us. These women that we celebrate, their stories deserve to be told. And so that is priority one. Priority two is really to educate our young people, those in our K-12 system, those in universities and colleges, those who need to know about these amazing stories. And you're going to hear a lot about our educational mission again later in the program. The last thing, and this is the third primary goal, and it's really a bit audacious to say, but we hope that through these ceremonies that we will in fact inspire others. We hope that you walk out of here inspired, that you want to tell the story of what you've heard today, and more importantly, make a commitment to continue to nominate other women whose stories should be told. That really is how this organization continues every single year. I mentioned standing on the shoulders of giants. You know that Isaac Newton quote, and it says, by standing on these shoulders, we are not here but for standing on the shoulders of giants. And my goodness, don't we have a lot of giants in our Hall of Fame inductees. We are all, because of them, we are all well-positioned, men and women, to better face the future. And we all have great hope of all that is to come. So speaking of these giants, I'm incredibly honored and humbled to serve this organization and have followed in the footsteps of a lot of great leaders who have shepherded Georgia Women of Achievement from the genesis of Rosalind Carter's visit to Judson College, which my colleague will tell you about later. I know there are several, I've already talked to a couple, of former founding members and presidents of Georgia Women of Achievement in attendance today, and I would really appreciate it if you would stand and be recognized. And Nancy, if you don't stand, I'm gonna, there you go. That's amazing. Nancy Anderson is in the audience over here, Cindy Busby here. Listen for Nancy's name later, you'll hear it. I especially, and just want a moment to pause to recognize two incredible visionary leaders of Georgia Women of Achievement who are not with us today. What a loss that we have experienced this year in the deaths of both Abbott Massey, whom you will hear about later today, and Laura McCarty, whose colleagues are here today, and I know a lot of friends and colleagues for both Abbott and Laura are here, and we hope through this ceremony we will give great honor to both of them and their memory. Their shoulders have been strong in support of this organization, and we will continue to pay it forward in their honor and memory. I really want to pause because last year I forgot this. I think I forgot it. I would like to recognize several people who have poured into this ceremony to make it incredibly special for all of us. Honestly, I walked in the door this morning, it was all done, and they're the people who were checking you in to the registration table. Hannah Doan, who is at Wesleyan College, and then Deborah Robbins, the one in the orange, and they're still working. Hello, I'm talking about y'all. They're waving, but they're checking, they're still registering some people. But Deborah Robbins is my executive assistant at Mercer. And so obviously Wesleyan and Mercer deeply support this organization by sharing this, this amazing wealth of resource, and they are incredible. We're thankful for them, as we are thankful for your program is designed, one of the things I mention every year, but Katie Volz, who is a marketing student at Mercer University. By the way, both of our institutions are on spring break this week, so our students are not here, but Katie sends her best regards, and Katie designed that entire program, so we're very, very thankful for Katie as well. Well, y'all give those ladies a round of applause so they can hear you. Thank you. Thank you. Because of our founding trustees, dedicated volunteers, and our current partners, the Georgia Women of Achievement can continue its legacy. We have very big dreams, and they get bigger every year. We want every young person in this state and beyond in the Southeast to know about the amazing women who have persevered to impact society and make this beautiful world even more so. We shall continue to move forward with great purpose. We are called to do so, and we will continue to share these powerful stories and inspire the next generation of leaders. We obviously could not do that without the support of a lot of sponsors, and you all, we have listed many of those in the program. Many of our sponsors are actually in attendance today. Let me encourage you, we had so many people giving this year, and I know it was because of a lot of support, candidly, for Abbott and for Laura, but we couldn't even get all the names in the program because even yesterday, people were bringing us support sponsorships. So those are in the program. If you have given in support of this organization during this last year, since the last Hall of Fame induction ceremony, would you please stand and let us recognize you? We greatly appreciate you. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Speaking of a great investment in Georgia Women of Achievement, my good friend, and I'm so thankful to be able to call her a friend, is the president of Wesleyan College, Megan Blight, and she, just because of the legacy of Wesleyan and certainly this organization, offers to host us in this beautiful Pierce Chapel every single year, and we are thrilled to be here, and we are forever grateful to you, Megan. So with that, I would love for President Blight to bring some words of welcome.
Thanks, Penny. So I am Megan Blight, the president of Wesleyan College. Now, I feel like it might be my fault that you are confused as the president, because every time something goes wrong, I say I'm Dr. Penny Elkins. So that might be my fault. Yeah. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Georgia Women of Achievement induction ceremony. It is an honor to support Georgia Women of Achievement, and it's only fitting given Wesleyan's mission and our history as the first college chartered to grant degrees to women in the world that this event is held here. This is a legacy I'm incredibly proud of, and I'm proud to be a part of, especially as we head into our next phase of history. Since 1992, Georgia Women of Achievement has been honoring outstanding women who've made contributions to all aspects of society. What's important to me is that the young women who attend this institution, many of which are in the room right now, can see themselves on this list someday. Today, you'll hear about two exceptional women who are trailblazers in the world of music and visual arts. I'm very excited to hear their amazing stories and honor them on this special day. We salute the friends and families of our honorees, and we welcome you to Wesleyan. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. You can absolutely blame me for anything. This organization could not exist without the support of Wesleyan and, of course, the time, talent, and energy of all of their volunteers. Now, I mentioned a moment the amazing leaders that I get to surround myself with on behalf of leading this organization, Georgia Women of Achievement. Y'all, I always say this, but I need to reiterate, this is a volunteer board. And we would love more volunteers, by the way. We're going to call some of you. But we don't have a paid executive position of this board, which means we all work on behalf of Georgia Women of Achievement. And I am so honored and blessed to work with these amazing people, and they don't like it, but I'm going to make them stand. So all members of our Board of Trustees, would you please stand and let us recognize you for all that you do on behalf of GWA? I would like to bring one of them now to the stage, and that is Cindy Busby, who is past president of Georgia Women of Achievement and chair of the Georgia Women of Achievement Education Committee, and there's nobody better to tell you about our educational mission. Cindy?
Thank you, Penny. I also stand here not only as a past president of GWA, but also a two-time graduate of Wesleyan. So it's particularly special to me, thank you, that we continue to host our event here. One of the opportunities that I've had as a past president and now the chair of the Education Committee is to get to fulfill our mission, which is really the critical part of what we do, which is passing this information and these legacies on to our students throughout the state and also throughout the nation. A few of the things I'd like to mention are some of the cornerstones of what we're doing and what we'll continue to do as an education committee to make sure we're fulfilling the promise of the organization. One of the things that we committed to last year that we continued this year, or in 2024, was the design and the development of our website. We have continued to work on the website, and as of last year, we aligned all of our videos and information with the Georgia standards for social studies, which was a very critical juncture for us. We had talked about that for a long time. We'd created museum and traveling trunks in the early 2000s, but realized that as everything has gone digital, that we needed to provide those to particularly middle school and high school teachers. One of the people I would like to thank for that is Dr. Fletcher Johnson from the Bibb County School System. He serves as a leader in the social studies education level at the state, but he was also very critical in helping us design those along with educators here in Bibb County. The other important event that we participated in was every year the Georgia Council on Social Studies hosts an event in Athens, Georgia. It is an opportunity for social studies educators to come from across the state and to learn about new curricula, new opportunities, and new lesson plans. And I really want to thank the board and the vision of the founders that we would become engaged with the social studies educators in the state of Georgia to share our mission a few of our videos, and in particular work with our interns from Mercer University, in particular Alicia Mitchell, who has been an intern with us for 2 years, to give a demonstration of how these lesson plans can be used. So on behalf of Georgia Women of Achievement and our Education Committee, I thank you for your support and for being here. These lesson plans are getting to those middle school and high school and even elementary school teachers, and will continue that mission. Thank you. Oh, my most important part here, my note I wrote myself. Now I'm going to welcome my partner in Athens, Georgia, Dr. Valerie Clark, to the stage.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Mrs. Rosalind Carter visited the Alabama Women's Hall of Fame for an event at Judson College in Marion, and she was so taken by the event that she spoke of her visit to a meeting of the Gracious Ladies of Georgia in Columbus. From her address in Columbus, Mrs. Carter was invited to a luncheon right here on this campus, and so it started right here at Wesleyan. She was invited to the campus by go-getters Nancy Anderson, Neva Fickling, Colleen Nunn, that's Mrs. Sam Nunn, Robert Ackerman, Frank Jones, and Valeria Murphy. And this was the beginning of the hard work to create an organization that would keep history alive for Georgians, Georgia Women of Achievement. And just a little aside, Wesleyan provided the entire luncheon, and of course it was lovely being from Wesleyan. But the women came earlier than Mrs. Carter, and they all went to Valeria Murphy's home, and they got her good china and her silver and her crystal and her tablecloths, and they made it perfect for Mrs. Carter. So the first GWA induction ceremony was held in 1992, and it recognized Martha McChesney Berry, Lucy Kraft Laney, Juliet Gordon Lowe of our Girl Scouts, Sarah Branham Matthews, and our famous author from Georgia, Flannery O'Connor. Since then, more than 100 women have been inducted and honored from the arts, humanities, education, government and politics, science, health, and sports. The significance of the Hall of Fame is that it honors extraordinary women of Georgia and keeps their contributions alive for generations to come. Each year, we receive nominations from individuals, families, and from organizations, as we have this year. They're from the state, all from the state of Georgia, and they wish to honor female trailblazers as Georgia Women of Achievement. Our organization entrusts the selection committee, a group independent of GWA, to recommend our inductees to the board. These individuals share their expertise and their love of history year after year with us. They represent some of the state's finest historical institutions and approach their responsibilities to this organization with great professionalism, utmost care, and a passion. Would the members of the Board of Selections please rise at this time? And now, would any past members please join them? Past members of the selection committee? Great, and we'll applaud you all now. Thank you. And in great sorrow, as Penny mentioned earlier, Laura McCarty was on this board of selections, and we lost her this year, and it was a great loss to our organization and a great friend to all of us, too. Consistent with Mrs. Carter's vision, it now gives me great pleasure to invite you to hear the stories of two women who will be inducted today in Georgia's Women of Achievement Hall of Fame. Thank you, Dr. Adrian Epps, trustee. You will introduce our first inductee. Thank you. Dr. Epps.
Thank you. Good morning. I know your program says Velvet Perry. She's serving her civic duty and doing jury duty today, which is very, very important. But it's indeed a pleasure to be here, and we thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to recognize our honorees today. We'll start with philanthropist and performer Jessie Mae Norman. Let's listen, and I encourage you to listen to hear her voice through her story.
Jessie Norman's life journey began in Augusta, Georgia, where she was born and raised. Even as she gained international fame, Jessie Norman maintained a deep connection to her hometown.
I distinctly remember our neighborhoods bordered each other, but it was a section of that in order to get to the other side of the neighborhood community called the Compress. And it was an area that they had cotton, and there it was baled to be able to transport and store it. And they had huge red walls, and that was just an ideal place for her to practice her vocals.
She was born here, and she grew up in the church with my grandparents at Mount Calvary Baptist Church, and she went to high school here, did all her schooling here before she went to college.
Jessie Norman's musical education played a pivotal role in shaping her career. She received her first formal vocal coaching from Rosa Harris Sanders, who was her music teacher in junior and senior high school.
Going to music class with Mrs. Rosa Sanders. She was so engrossed in what she was doing, she didn't notice my little brother and I in the corner giggling, not at her marvelous voice, but at her dramatic gestures that she'd use as she sang. And we thought at 6 and 7 that was so awfully funny.
At the age of 16, Norman entered a vocal competition in Philadelphia. She did not win, but it led to an offer of a full scholarship at Howard University in Washington, D.C. After graduating in 1967, she began graduate studies at the Peabody Conservatory in Baltimore and earned a master's degree from the University of Michigan School of Music in Ann Arbor.
Certainly earlier on in my professional life I did an awful lot of singing in people's living rooms and in very small auditoriums like most beginners I expect.
We have a close-knit family, so family was always there, brothers and sisters, Uncle Silas and Uncle Howard, my mother Elaine, Uncle George. And they built a really strong family foundation based on just, love and appreciating each other for what everyone does and all the different gifts and talent, and all centered around a Christian, household.
Norman frequently returned to Augusta, giving back to the community that nurtured her artistic spirit. In 2003, she helped found the Jessie Norman School of the Arts in downtown Augusta.
We began to explore the possibility of an after-school School of the Arts, primarily for children who didn't have any money. Well, in order to get this started, we wanted to feature somebody from Augusta. And so I became acquainted with Jessie Norman at that time. First, just by reputation, and just found out what an amazing woman she is. And wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a school in her honor? And I didn't know Jessie at that time, but we began a correspondence and asking her about this possibility, and she immediately said yes, that she would love to be part of providing the arts opportunities for children.
I was invited by Mr. Ellis Johnson to lead the Friends of Jessie Norman School of the Arts, alongside a dozen or so community giants. She was very much involved in every detail and aware of every detail we did.
The Jessie Norman School of the Arts began at the St. John United Methodist Church. We rented Sunday school spaces. We started off there in 2003 and ran until 2008, when we were given the building that we're in right now by local philanthropist Peter Knox. Half of the building was renovated, the other half was not. So we spent the next 10 years raising money and renovating the building, trying to create the space that we have now.
The Jessie Norman School of the Arts has gone on to have a massive impact on the lives of thousands of students and artists throughout Georgia. Today, the school serves 2,500 people annually, employs several local artists, and has created over 1 million hours of arts education.
I think I started my first research project with the school in 2007. That was eye-opening. It was the first time I realized how deficient the opportunity was for kids to be exposed to the arts. That's like the big sell for us when, people are saying, what's your impact in the community? The arts as a vehicle is the special sauce that makes our after-school program unique, different, and impactful. All of the literature suggests that studying the arts has a corollary impact to academic achievement.
The school for her was, in a lot of ways, a dream come true. She has a huge heart, and she's always had this major heart for people who necessarily didn't have the access or the opportunities that other people had. This school gave her a means and a way to connect two of her great loves. She loves children, a love for the music, and then a love for presenting hope and opportunity. And put it all together, and you get Jesse Norman School of the Arts.
She was always filled with hope that this school would provide opportunities. She came at least once a year, usually twice a year, and she would always have some time to interact with the children. And she was just magic with them. The ones that she saw primarily didn't show a particular talent, but it didn't matter to her because she supported them right where they were. And they were so excited when she could come see them. And someday they're going to understand how important it was that they got to meet Jesse Norman.
Over 70% of all admitted students come from low to moderate income backgrounds, and the programming is completely free. The school has won awards from the National Education Association and received the Lewis Prize for Music, as well as the 2019 Georgia Governor's Award for the Arts and Humanities.
She was proud of the school as it is today, and I think that she would be proud of its continued growth, and I think that she would be exceptionally proud of the fact that there's now a second location with the objective of having even more spreading the magic of the arts.
The arts are just a wonderful place to find yourself, to find where you fit in your life, in your future. And I expect that there will be someone to reach great heights from having been here. And they will remember that Jesse Norman made it happen.
Jesse Norman went on to become one of history's greatest operatic performers. She performed at the Met 81 times, won 5 Grammy Awards, including their Lifetime Achievement Award, and received a National Medal for the Arts from President Barack Obama.
And the fact that she performed in so many operas, and she didn't perform in a language that she couldn't speak. Now, that is amazing, which means German and Italian, French, but she could speak the language. But that's part of her excellence. That kind of talent, that kind of person is amazing.
I think one of the greatest songs that I know of any song, Ich bin der Welt abhanden gekommen, to actually sing that I am far away from the world and I live alone in my music and in my song. That is the truth for a lot of musicians.
Some people are talented singers. I believe she was really gifted. It impacted you in a different way, even though frequently she was speaking languages I didn't speak, or she was singing languages I didn't speak, but you can still feel it. It never became common. It's like every performance, like, wow, like Aunt Jay is just like, wow. And I've been to, I can't even count how many concerts and that sort of thing I've been to, but she never ceased to amaze me.
Jesse Norman received a Kennedy Center honor in 1997, joining Aretha Franklin as the youngest person to do so. She was named an honorary UN ambassador in 1990, served on the board of directors for Carnegie Hall, and joined the Georgia Music Hall of Fame in 1999. In 1986, Norman sang for Queen Elizabeth II's 60th birthday celebration.
Chosen to sing for the 200th anniversary of a nation. The French culture minister who selected her was on shaky ground because he nominated a Black American woman to sing 3 strikes against her, right? 30 30 seconds into her singing La Marseillaise, the camera pans and you just start seeing the population just shedding tears. Before it was all said and done, she was a French national hero.
Jessie Norman exemplifies a legacy of excellence, mentorship, and cultural enrichment. Her influence extended far beyond the operatic stage, leaving an indelible mark on the world of music and education. Her impact, felt not only in Georgia but across the nation and the world, cements her as a true Georgia woman of achievement.
Why stop with mediocrity when you can go for excellence? And that's what she preached.
We were so very saddened at losing her, but we deliberately chose to cherish her legacy. And by doing that, we demonstrate how happy we are to know that she contributed to the fabric of our lives and community and the world.
Wasn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. Wonderful, iconic voice. Would the friends, families, and members and guests of Jessie Mae Norman please stand? I would be remiss, continue to stand so people, and turn around and look at people. I would be remiss as there are also individuals here from the school. As a 30-plus year educator myself, I would be remiss to not encourage you to explore ways to support educators. And so I'm endorsing, particularly in the arts, to support this particular School of the Arts, and as you see, the wonderful, beautiful, iconic voice by which they lead by. So thank you so very much. And Gary, if you would come forward and join us on stage to receive the plaque. You all may be seated. We're going to take a big group picture later during lunch. Seek these individuals out and ask how you may engage. Awesome.
Okay, Gary, we're going to invite you to come over here.
Sure.
You'll stand in the middle.
Thank you. Congratulations. And now it's my pleasure to welcome my colleague up, Mint Flowers, to recognize and introduce our next honoree.
Let's hear from artist and activist Alma Woodsey Thomas.
Born in Columbus, Georgia in 1891, Alma Woodsey Thomas spent her first 16 years at her family's home in an early Columbus suburb and her grandparents' farm just across the Chattahoochee River in Alabama.
My family moved from Columbus, Georgia with my great-grandparents, my Aunt Alma, my grandmother Catherine, and my Aunt Maurice. And they moved to Washington July 31st of 1907.
There was not a high school for African Americans in Columbus until 1930, and when they choose to leave the city in 1907, it is really in search of more opportunities for their daughters so that they can continue to grow.
Washington was still segregated at that time. It was very much segregated, but it was opportunities, because here, after you got to a certain grade, it was no more education. And they got on the train, left in 1907 with the 4 daughters because they wanted a better life.
I came to Washington in the last day of August 1907 from Columbus, Georgia. My mother was very much interested in color, She could take dresses and blend the colors. I remember where I lived on Rose Hill in Columbus, Georgia. I was very happy when I entered that art room. I stuck with it.
Early life story and almost her origin story is that her mother was a very successful dressmaker. She talked about her mother being very good with colors, not just for her clients, but also for her children, her daughters. That joy of creation and joy of working with colors and interest in colors was something that she absorbed from her mother's work and kind of carried that piece forward in her own work in a different medium.
And I think her art speaks for itself. It's beautiful. It will always be a part of the culture of Alma Thomas, the 20th century contemporary artist, but it also is a part of giving her a voice to what she wanted in life. And this voice and her legacy and the honor that you bestow on her will live on forever.
After high school, Alma Thomas earned a teaching certificate and attended Howard University, becoming the school's first art department graduate in 1924. She then began a 35-year career at Shaw Junior High School, where she impacted a generation of students.
She taught middle school art and art history for more than 30 years. And I'm still sort of, meeting people who were affected by what she did as a teacher.
I think at one time, 1 in every 2 black residents in Washington, D.C. had been taught by her art. After she retired in, I think, 1960, she took some art classes at American University and started painting professionally. About 1960, she also came down with a bad case of arthritis.
Thomas suffered from arthritis, and so she adapted her painting style. Instead of smaller, very short brushstrokes that she had made before, she just adapted her style to larger brushstrokes so that she could still control the movement at a scale that worked for her with her current physical abilities. She created art and made artistic objects throughout her entire life, even though many people think of her primarily as an artist after her retirement from teaching, but she was so committed to her craft and her art that she adapted so that it worked for her so she could continue.
She retired in about 1960. This is a sort of a quote. I don't have much time left. I have to get busy and really start working on my art.
She went on to become the vice president of what was, we think, the first Black-owned art gallery in the country, a gallery called the Barnett Aiden Gallery. And it was a racially integrated and very progressively minded gallery. And that was quite unusual in Washington at that time.
The very first time Alma Thomas's work was shown publicly in Columbus that we know of was in 1960. It was shown here at the Columbus Museum. It was part of a traveling exhibition of work by Washington, D.C. artists. And the only reason we know this is that there's a small blurb in the newspaper saying that this exhibition is on view and here's all the artists included in it. And her name is just in that list. 13 short years later, in 1973, was the total opposite. Again, her work was here as part of a show of DC artists, but she is invited to the museum. She's treated as a guest of honor. There are newspaper stories. It's a very big deal.
She always liked crepe myrtle. We had a crepe myrtle tree in the yard. And she was always reminiscing about her childhood in Columbus, Georgia, the house on Rose Hill. She never forgot being from Columbus, Georgia, and she never thought of herself as a Washingtonian. She always thought of herself as somebody from Columbus, Georgia.
Alma Thomas garnered national attention in 1972 when she became the first Black woman to receive a solo show at the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York.
She really believed in beauty of all kinds as being the reason to be alive and something that can restore us spiritually and emotionally. And I really feel that her paintings have that effect on viewers still.
since Thomas's death in 1978, she has been the subject of traveling exhibitions and numerous projects at individual museums and galleries. In 2014, Thomas became the first African-American woman artist with work in the White House Permanent Collection.
At this stage of life, when people in general, and women especially maybe, often become invisible to society, she was really getting her flowers. She was achieving at sort of the highest level within her field, and even after her death, she continued to be a groundbreaking figure because she was the first Black woman artist to have work acquired into the collection of the White House.
She has this really great story and an artist statement for one of her paintings called Mars Dust. She was fascinated with space. She talked about how she would purchase elastic from the notions counter of a department store, like you would use to make clothing, lay that out, and then wrap the bands around the paintings, and that would help her line up her stripes.
When you see her paintings, she was very intentional about what she did. And if you look at them carefully, you'll see maybe she used a ruler or a line. So everything is extremely well composed.
Today, Alma Thomas's work can be found in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Museum of Modern Art, the Art Institute in Chicago, and the Columbus Museum.
When I think about Alma Thomas being recognized as a Georgia Woman of Achievement, she achieved so much and in so many different spheres. She overcame the prejudice and discrimination of her time to be recognized as not just an exceptional Black artist or an exceptional woman artist, but truly an exceptional artist. She was a dedicated and beloved teacher, and she made her own path.
Don't leave it in a box in the closet. Nobody will know what it was exactly. And so the enjoyment and preserving not only Alma as an artist, an activist, as a culture, to have the preservation. And it's no better place than the Columbus Museum to do it in our hometown.
And if I can get Alma's family members, friends, and guests that are here today to stand and look around the room. Thank you. And if Rebecca can come up, we will present the plate to you as the nominator. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Penny Elkins and Stella Bailey to come to the podium to offer a tribute to Abbott Massey.
Are you going to go say this first, aren't you? Go ahead. Okay. It is my honor to be here with Penny and all the Georgia Women of Achievement trustees to give tribute to Abbott Massey. Abbott had a tremendous influence on my life, both personally and professionally. Abbott and Kayanne and their family have been friends of mine for as long as I can remember, and of my family as well. Abbott was one of a kind, bigger than life, with his smile and his personality. He possessed tremendous leadership skills all of his life. He knew everyone, and he knew how to connect everyone with everyone else. Abbott had the ability to put the right people in the right place to accomplish great things together. That was certainly true with Georgia Women of Achievement. He nominated so many of us to be on the board. And he told me that I had to serve on the executive committee. No one could say no to Abbott. Abbott was passionate about Georgia Women of Achievement and about honoring women of Georgia who had made a difference in the lives of Georgians and in the lives of the people of our nation. It was his vision that these women be forever remembered in film and on our website, and used to educate Georgia young people and young people all over the United States. He made it possible for many students to attend these induction ceremonies, and I'm sure he paid for all the expenses and their lunches to get them here. I was the privileged speaker of the Abbott Massey Lecture Series in 2023. It was the last lecture series that Abbott and Kay Ann would attend. And I patterned my speech that day after the life of Abbott. I entitled my speech, "Live to Give." I ended my speech with a quote from Abbott: "I will keep on giving as long as I am living." And he did. Abbott will live on in the lives of all he touched. Penny?
You know, when Stella and I were talking about this, we said, how in the world can we really honor Abbott, you know, this giant of a person, an icon for all of us? So raise your hand if you in some way knew Abbott or was influenced by Abbott. Anybody? Okay, I want his family, and they're here, to see this auditorium. By the way, I think that for all of us, like he told me, you're going to be on Georgia Women Achievement, and then once I said yes, he said, okay, now you're going to be president, and I was like, no, but here we stand, you know? I mean, that was just Abbott, and I get that. I guarantee you it's the same story around this room. So I'm going to say a couple of words, but then most remarkably is his story that you will see in film. But at his memorial service, there was a quote used, and many of us have used it because it's just so indicative of Abbott. And our former governor, Nathan Deal, said that Abbott Massey was the best governor Georgia never had. And that's so true. Yes. He was such a presence that he had this amazing ability to combine at that juxtaposition of wisdom and compassion. And how he embodied both of those traits. He would always make every single individual feel like we were his special person, until we figured out that everybody else felt that way too. But what a gift of someone who can do that, who takes the time to listen to you individually and then to advocate on your behalf individually. And that's what he spent his life doing. At his memorial service, we were all given a bumper sticker, which is now in my office on my desk, that says, "Live like Abbott." Yeah, me too. I felt that. And I know that his family does, because we all, you talk about somebody we can aspire to be like, would be Abbott. But I will tell you, even when I got that bumper sticker, I heard him in the back of my mind, and so I say it to all of us. No, don't live like me. I want you to live like the best version of you. And that's what we're really called to do. And Abbott empowered us, each of us, to do that very thing. He didn't only do it for us, you all, as colleagues, but my best memory of Abbott that I will cherish forever is that when we were having a Georgia Women of Achievement Board of Trustees meeting, which he insisted. We wrestled with this because he never wanted it to be on Zoom. He always wanted it to be what? Of course, in person, because Abbott is all about the people, the relationship. And so, oddly enough, we were having our Georgia Women of Achievement Board of Trustees meeting in person, and who was on Zoom? But Abbott. Oh, but wait. I said, Abbott. So he signs on with his lovely iPad, and I know it's Camille and Lewis can just see him doing this. He's got his iPad, and most of the time he was upside down or something. You know, it was great until somebody helped him with it. But I said, Abbott, where are you? And he goes, oh, I'm on a cruise with one of my grandchildren in Alaska. And I was like, oh my God. And then, I mean, every time, if he was on Zoom, he was still doing the work, but he was intentionally pouring in to his family. And oh, he told us those stories about his grandchildren all the time. And I thought there is no better example of someone who leads and lives and manages all of the complexities of our lives with still intentionally caring about individuals, both outside of his family, but most importantly, inside his family. We are blessed to have had the honor of being in his presence for as long as we had Abbott Massey. We are going to invite you now to see his film, his story, which of course we will give to the family. And I would like Stella to say a word about that.
Oh, this is hard. I see you guys out there, Lewis and Camille and Mike and all these wonderful folks that Abbott worked with and loved so very dearly. I want to say this, he always sent me a text about all of you and every holiday, and oh, it was just so wonderful. I'm going to introduce the video now as we give tribute to Abbott in this wonderful video, but I want to say a word about Tina Calhoun, who produced it. Tina, where are you? She gave so much love in this video as she did the other. Stand up, please. Let's give her a round of applause. Yes. Penny and I know we want to say also she produced the two and all the ones that we all have, the two that we just saw, those beautiful, beautiful tributes. She's so talented. And she and I talked a lot about the one for Abbott, and she told me how difficult it was because she loved him so much. So I want to say this, that Tina loved him and admired him just as all of we did. So now let's watch this wonderful tribute to Abbott Massey. Go over here, right? This side.
Yeah, I know y'all had a good Thanksgiving. And I know you were careful if you were doing any cooking or carving. But did y'all hear about that actress who cut herself? Reese.
Really?
Reese.
With a spoon?
No, with a knife. Excuse me.
I knew this was going somewhere. That's a good one.
Well, I'm President Emeritus of the Georgia Poultry Federation. Still working daily, and I'm an immediate past president of Georgia Women of Achievement.
He had so much respect for Rosalind Carter and all that she did in so many areas of her life. And when he was asked to join Georgia Women of Achievement, of course, he naturally wanted to be a part and contribute to something that she had spent so much time with others creating. And he was proud of that.
He really loved serving on the board and being part of that community. And you know, he always got so excited about nominating potential award winners, you know, doing research on them and talking to their families and friends. You know, he served on a lot of boards and commissions, but I think this is the one he talked about the most because he really just loved it. You know, he loved honoring people and finding women that had contributed to the state.
Well, I remember clearly when my father called me up and said that he was invited, the only man to be on Georgia Women of Achievement Board. He was elated, and I think some of his male friends were teasing him. How did you arrange that, Abbott? But he really is a champion of women and has been around strong women, including my mom.
Bring a welcome to this celebration of life, of an extraordinary life, and friendships. And we need to emphasize the word friendships because that's why we're here. And I believe that really defines a big part of what Abbott's life was really about.
A few of his close friends came up with the phrase right after he passed away, "Live like Abbott." And we decided to paint the Gainesville High School rock, which is a centerpiece in town and everyone passes it. The Gainesville High School cheerleaders painted "Live like Abbott" on the rock, and on the small rock next to the larger one, a heart, Abbott and Kayanne, because I know that he would have wanted her name there as well. We framed "Live like Abbott" with our photograph, and it's a constant reminder of how we should give everything we can to our community and to those around us and prioritize family and really live in an honest and authentic way.
He gave of himself a lot to the community, but even more so as a father because he attended all our events and supported us, talked to us about schoolwork, gave us advice. He was not a strict disciplinarian. I think that fell a little bit more to Mom. He was just a super loving dad. I can't imagine a better role model for being a father than him. And, I've tried to emulate that with our kids. And I never quite reached his level, but I try, was honored to be his son.
My parents were married for 64 years, and they wrote love letters and told each other how much they loved each other every day. And growing up in the household and seeing them together, and both as parents, but as a couple, I used to say to them, wait a second, you just set the bar so high. How am I ever going to be a parent or a partner? Because the way you've lived is so idyllic. And my mom said, you'll be your own mother and you'll be your own partner.
He was and always will be a role model to me and was the epitome of the kind of men I wanted in my life and the kind of person I wanted to be. From the beginning, Papa filled my being with so much love and compassion, and as he did for all of you. And I hope that we all can continue to spread the Abbott Massey way everywhere we go.
Today we honor a man who in many ways was an ideal Georgian, a devoted husband and father, grandfather, a man of service and character, and certainly, as you can see by the crowd today, a friend of countless people who call this state home, and a leader who also made their communities better. We were just here back in May, and I think Governor Deal said it best. He said Abbott Massey was the best governor the state of Georgia never had. And everyone knows the impact that he had on the poultry industry. And I thought this morning when I wrote that down, I was thinking about the age-old question of what came first, the chicken or the egg. In many ways, I think it was Abbott that came before both of those.
Dad was a collector, and what I mean by that is he was a collector of friendships, of memories, of books. He was an avid reader, of joyful moments.
So my grandfather was a man with a superpower, and it was called the human magnet. And with it, he had the ability to bring anyone he was in contact with one level closer. And what I mean by that is he could make a stranger a friend family, and family his favorite person in the world.
He also was a great storyteller, and everyone in here that spent any time with him has heard his stories, but an amazing thing is that I've never heard him repeat the same one twice.
He told me to treasure every single moment that I had left with Papa.
And at the time, it felt like we had another 100 years with him, but I'm so glad that I took his advice. It was an honor to be related to that man. Being his grandson meant being loved unconditionally, and I will look up to him for the rest of my life.
We're all unified here today, celebrating the great unifier, Abbott Massey. He was, to me, a giant of a man. We're recognizing that with singleness of heart and of mind, we can live like Abbott.
I am so grateful for his light heart, but also his deep, old soul. He has a magical combination of wisdom and compassion. I saw that in my own life.
Papa quoted a country song, "Live Like You're Dying" by Tim McGraw. One of the quotes he said was, "Love deeper, speak sweeter, and give forgiveness that you've been denying." And I think we should all try to live a little more like Papa.
Yeah, he had a wonderful life, and we all are having a wonderful life, appreciative of everything he did for us.
See, it's about people, it's about purpose, and it's about passion. See, Abbott loved people, he knew his purpose, and he lived his life with passion. And see, the foundations of connection are built and sustained off of three things: being around people you believe in, at a place you believe in, doing something you believe in.
There's one quote that stayed with me that he taught me when I was in high school, which is, "I am but one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. What I can do, I ought to do, and what I ought to do, by the grace of God, I will do." That quote has stayed with me because I know that I'm capable of contributing to the world, and I'll make it happen.
All right, all the whole room, all the friends and family of Abbott Massey, please stand. And then I would like to invite Louis and Camille and Tina. Would you please come up, our producer of this awesome video of Abbott. Everybody stand, his family, please, and people that have come today for Abbott. And turn around so everyone can see you over here. Yay. Thank you. All right, we need Louis and Camille to come up, and Tina.
Tina, we want Tina.
Yes.
This was a true labor of love for Tina. As you can imagine, producing that video was an honor, but also a very emotional, poignant moment. Oh, Camille and Louis, thank you all for joining us today. Help me welcome Camille.
To you.
Oh, goodness. Well, I don't know how we come back from that. So, but we shall, because Abbott would want us to, right? So our dream, Abbott's dream, our collective dream, is that we will continue to forward this legacy of the amazing trailblazers. I will have to tell you a personal moment as we're concluding today, that as we were getting ready for this ceremony, we realized very quickly how much Abbott had done behind the scenes that we really never knew. It was amazing, the gaps, the chasm, not a gap, the chasm that we had to fill this year. And so I'm going to be Abbott right now, and I'm going to say, we need leaders to step up, to continue to help us to forward this mission. If you are interested in being on our Board of Trustees, our Board of Selections Committee, or probably most importantly, of being a nominator for these women. The only way we know about the women to share them with our Board of Selections Committee is through nominations. So that's it. So we need you all to take the time, and you did, Gary, and you did, Rebecca, to take the time to invest in this legacy. All the information is on our website, so y'all please do that. You have until September 30th, so I'm giving you plenty of time to get those nominations in so that we can continue this great legacy of these pioneering women. We always invite you to find a way to be involved in our mission. As is always the case, we will conclude the luncheon with, conclude the Hall of Fame induction ceremony with a lovely celebration luncheon. And if you have already told us you're coming and provided tickets for that, if you will make sure that you follow our Board of Trustees members to the dining hall, and they will guide you over to the dining hall for that. Families and nominators, if you will remain, including Abbott's family just for a moment, if you will remain in the chapel, we'd like to get some group photos of you all, and then we'll make sure you get over to lunch as well. So wow, it's been 34 years of celebrating now, over 100 women, and there are many more stories to tell. But I'm going to end. I want you to know we are ready, we're empowered to tell those stories. And you heard it actually in one of the previous videos, but it reminded me of the Sheryl Sandberg quote, so I'll go ahead and say it, that we really do imagine a world where there are no female leaders necessarily, but there are just leaders. They're just leaders. And we all are, and that is our vision. Let's create a future where we will all be together and that we will live like our Abbott, uniquely, authentically us, but with great love, compassion, hope, and direction. All right, my friends, thank you for coming today. The ceremony is concluded. Thank you. If you are joining us for the luncheon, we invite you to go ahead and start making your way over. Carla Heath Sands is going to, I said conclude before Carla, I'm sorry. She's going to sing us out, but you don't want to miss it. You don't want to leave before Carla sings, so that we can make sure that we are acknowledging Abbott and listening to this beautiful, beautiful voice of Carla Heath Sands. She is going to be accompanied by, y'all excuse me, I got very obviously off track with Abbott's video. She is accompanied by an amazing accompanist, Sue Quinn Zhang, who is a graduate now of Wesleyan College, yes. And our dear Carla Heath Sands, who is an amazing leader, amazing member of our Board of Trustees, and certainly did have a relationship with Abbott as well, is going to end our ceremony today. I'm just going to say that this was meant to be, that you end it this way, that Carla will end with a beautiful tribute to our Abbott. Thank you.
She gave me a few more minutes of just fast heartbeats to prepare, deep breaths. And you know, I'm doing this because, of course, you asked me to do this, sing this tribute to Abbott. And of course I said yes. But then when I was sitting right over here last year, he gets up, he introduces me without a single note. Somebody talked about the research that he does on people. He knew me and introduced me. And then I'm sitting there this morning, and we're honoring Jesse Norman. Now, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? And I don't know if many of you know, and I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag, as they say, her brother, James, the entire family, a family of vocalists, okay? So the pressure's on, but I'm going to do my very best to honor Abbott, and I also need to say, our circle has been broken with Abbott and with Laura. And so both of them worked for community. Both of them worked with others. No man is an island. No woman is an island. No one is an island. No man is an island. No man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me. Each man's grief is my own. We need one another. So I will defend each man as my brother, each man as my friend. I saw the people gather. I heard the music start. The song that they were singing is ringing in my heart. No man is an island. No man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me. Each man's grief is my own. We need one another. So I will defend each man as my brother. Each man as my
I'm sorry, before you leave, I've been a pinch hitter today, as you can tell, but we always traditionally bless. Abbott traditionally always does the prayer, and today, before we got started, it's like, Adrian, guess what you're doing today? But it is deeply an honor, and particularly recognizing the honorees today, and looking up over there at my long ago friend Lewis. I knew Lewis before I knew his dad. To stand here before you on Lent, starting the Lenten season on Ash Wednesday, to say a prayer. So if we will, bow our heads. Oh, Heavenly most gracious Father, we come before you praising your holy name first, and recognize how great thou art, that you gave the greatest sacrifice of all, as we start this Lenten season in honoring you and recognizing your love, your grace, and mercy for all. Oh, Heavenly Father, I ask you to bless each household represented here. Be there, show up, and show out in only the ways that you can. Father, I ask you to help us continue to celebrate these honorees that we recognize today through the Georgia Women of Achievement, and those who have served and given of themselves in numerous ways. Father, bless this food that we're about to receive for the nourishment of our minds, body, and soul, and guide us in all that we do. In your name we pray. Amen. Now let's eat.
Gary, we'll get y'all first to take a picture.